Cold War bombing starts as a math problem. Distance, defense, and minutes decide outcomes. It solved reach until radar, interceptors, and missiles stacked into defensive layers. First comes the bomber that refused to retire. It worked, but only when support stayed predictable. That success forced planners to build routines, tanker plans, and base networks. Boeing B-52 Stratofortress, a long-range heavy bomber that became a national instrument in motion. It was designed for credible strike reach when geography stopped negotiating. It fit doctrine that valued constant readiness and repeatable processes. Its strength was adaptability, absorbing new missions without changing its core idea. Its limitation was dependence on tankers, bases, and planning depth. Tupolev Tu-95 Bear, a turboprop strategic bomber built for endurance and strategic presence. It was designed to keep long-range aviation visible under nuclear pressure. It fit Soviet long-range aviation, where persistence signaled intent as much. Public reporting often highlights its ability to stay on station. But modern air defenses narrowed the comfort zone for older survivability assumptions. Two icons exposed the loop in plain sight. Each solved the first layer until a harsher layer appeared. From here, the story widens again into the gap fillers that kept deterrence credible. Range solved deterrence until jets and radar tightened maps. Safe corridors shrank, timelines collapsed. That forced planners to trade endurance for speed and risk. These machines worked, but only inside fragile assumptions. They bought time until assumptions failed under faster reactions. Convair B-36 Peacemaker, a piston bomber built to cross oceans by reach. It existed for intercontinental deterrence before strategic jets matured. Its strength was distance when bases felt uncertain, yet complexity raised doubts as defenses improved. Tupolev Tu-4 Bull, a Soviet strategic bomber born from reverse-engineered urgency. It was designed to field a bomber force fast. It fit an era where airframes signaled power, but vulnerabilities persisted. North American B-45 Tornado, an early American jet bomber that pushed deterrence closer to Europe. It was designed for a jet presence when exposure felt immediate. It proved jets could stand alert, though reliability and range kept margins thin. English Electric Canberra, a jet bomber that leaned on speed and altitude for access. It was designed for light bombing and reconnaissance during rising tension. Flexible and adaptable, it still faced a narrowing window as interception and missiles matured. Bridge bombers held the line as doctrine rewrote itself. Next, the altitude bet takes the lead and risks sharpen. Altitude and speed outpaced fighters until missile defenses matured. It worked while the upper sky stayed loosely contested. Then the bomber became an engineering sprint. The bet was altitude. The counter was missiles that could climb higher. Boeing B-47 Stratojet, a swept-wing jet bomber that defined early strategic air command posture. It was designed for fast, high-altitude delivery under early nuclear doctrine. It fit a period when altitude meant breathing room and reaction time. It brought genuinely modern aerodynamics and systems for its generation. Newer radars and missiles quickly pressured the whole high-altitude assumption everywhere, soon. Tupolev Tu-16 Badger, a jet bomber built for regional reach and heavy versatility. It was designed to replace older prop bombers near Soviet operating theaters. It fit doctrine that mixed strategic signaling with maritime relevance. It stayed remarkably useful as a platform for evolving roles. It depended on defense limits of the era, and they moved fast over time. Vickers Valiant, a British V-bomber that made airborne nuclear credibility real. It was designed to give the UK an independent strategic delivery option. It fit bomber command needs before the deterrent shifted again. It turned policy into an operational capability on schedule. Structural fatigue ended its prime early, forcing a quick exit. Next, endurance and support networks take the weight off altitude. Endurance solved basing uncertainty until defenses got dense and layered. Staying available demanded more than airframes. It demanded tankers, dispersal plans, and disciplined scheduling, and political credibility at distance. Avro Vulcan, a delta-wing V-bomber built for Britain's nuclear deterrent years. It was designed for strategic delivery when independence mattered politically. It fit a doctrine that kept shifting as threats and profiles changed. Its strength was a design flexible enough to accept new expectations. Its limitation was that modern defenses narrowed the original penetration idea. Next, its partner airframe answers the same problem differently. Handley Page Victor, a strategic bomber that later became a high-value support aircraft. It was designed for the V-Force mission before the deterrent rearranged. It stayed relevant when roles changed and support became decisive. Its strength was a transition into tanker duty when readiness mattered most. Its limitation was that the bomber mission faded as deterrence tools shifted. Up next, the bomber concept travels east and adapts again. Xi'an H-6, a Chinese bomber line rooted in an older Soviet design family. It was designed to sustain bomber capability through upgrades and iteration. It fits regional deterrent signaling and evolving strike expectations. Its strength is longevity through adaptation, not constant clean sheet replacement. Its limitation is that an older airframe constrains modern operating margins. Next, endurance gives way to a faster kind of protection. Speed solved interception until defenses grew smarter and deeper. So the bomber answer became a sprint, not a cruise. These jets worked, but only when budgets and maintenance kept pace across entire fleets. Convair B-58 Hustler, America's first supersonic bomber built for a narrow focus. It was designed for fast penetration when windows felt closing on planners' maps. It fit doctrine that prized speed over loiter and flexibility above all else. It proved supersonic delivery could be operationally real. But complexity and cost stressed long-term usefulness. Tupolev Tu-22 Blinder, a Soviet supersonic bomber shaped by expectations and timelines under pressure. It was designed to push speed into the bomber mission at scale. Combat accounts and public reporting often describe it as demanding. It signaled Soviet intent to match the supersonic era. Yet it struggled to meet that promise consistently. Dassault Mirage 4, a French strategic bomber built for independent nuclear credibility. It was designed for a national deterrent that did not rely on allies. It fit doctrine where tanker support and planning mattered. It made France's deterrent visibly air-deliverable. Yet, flexibility stayed limited beside larger multi-mission fleets. Supersonic speed looked like protection until the bill came due. Next, the answer drops lower, into terrain and weather. Low-level flight solved radar tracking until sensors linked across networks. The upper sky became lethal, so planners went into weather everywhere. Going low demanded a new support layer. Navigation systems and training tempo mattered as much as airframes. General Dynamics F-111 Aardvark, a strike aircraft that carried bomber logic into the theater level. It was designed for deep, all-weather attack once altitude looked exposed. It fit Cold War planning built around time, terrain, and routes. Its strength was integrated navigation and targeting in bad conditions. Its limitation was complexity that punished unprepared fleets. Next, the Soviet counterpart pursued the same intent with different trade-offs. Sukhoi Su-24 Fencer, a tactical bomber built for fast, all-weather interdiction, was designed for deep strikes in regions guarded by defenses. It matched Warsaw Pact doctrine that valued penetration and sortie pace. Its strength was bringing integrated attack navigation into regular service. Its limitation was upkeep demands that grew as systems aged. Moving on, Europe answers with a shared platform and shared standards. Panavia Tornado IDS, a multinational strike aircraft optimized for low-level penetration planning. It was designed for alliance warfare where standardization mattered. It fit NATO's need for reliable deep strike under political constraints. Its strength was aligning multiple air forces around one strike concept. Its limitation was constant upgrade pressure as sensors improved. Next, the survivability question gets rewritten again. Penetration solved early defenses until networks became too dense. Radars, missiles, and command links turned gaps into traps. So the answer shifted toward flexibility, standoff posture, and low observability. Tupolev Tu-22M Backfire, a variable sweep bomber built for long-range strike and maritime reach. It was designed for roles where range and payload carried political weight. It fit Cold War assumptions about sea lanes and strategic pressure. Its strength was pushing the missile carrier idea into bomber doctrine. Its limitation was staying a high-value asset with real operational risk. Next, the United States answers with a heavy bomber shaped by late priorities. Boeing B-1B Lancer, a heavy bomber built around survivability, thinking as defenses spread. It was designed for flexible, long-range missions under shifting requirements. It fit an era where basing logic and mission emphasis kept moving. Its strength was speed, payload, and routing flexibility in planning. Its limitation was a role that kept evolving as strategy changed. Finally, stealth arrives as the closing argument. Northrop B-2 Spirit, a stealth bomber built for sophisticated integrated air defenses. It was designed when conventional approaches looked increasingly exposed. It fit the late Cold War fear that no corridor stayed safe. Its strength was changing what penetration could even mean. Its limitation was cost and sustainment burdens that limited scale. Next, we close on what this era permanently reshaped. This story isn't bigger is better, it's works until it doesn't. Every fix stayed valid until the threat evolved. Bridge bombers bought time when distance beat basing. Jets bought speed when radar tightened corridors. Endurance bought posture when readiness had to be constant. Supersonic dash chased safety through minutes and altitude. Fleets paid in maintenance, cost, and narrow mission focus. Defenses got deeper, so speed alone stopped being enough. Low-level penetration widened access under hostile upper skies. It demanded navigation systems, training tempo, and tanker planning. It worked, but only with disciplined support. Late Cold War. Design pivoted toward flexibility and low observability. One profile became many options, shaped by dense networks. Public reporting often calls this the survivability reset. The legacy is doctrine, plan, signal, and restrain for leaders and planners alike. Bombers didn't win the Cold War by themselves. They made miscalculation feel immediate and irreversible. Hold that map, and the modern bomber debate snaps into focus.